digital equity and inclusion updates here at HACLA today. Thank you so much. Okay, so my name is Licia Villalta, and I'm the Resident Services Manager here at HACLA. I work with the Strategic Initiatives Unit, and we are a small unit that serves our people in our public housing sites as well as asset management sites. And we have a variety of programs, specifically with our digital and equity and inclusion programs that we are overseeing throughout our sites. And I will talk about those today. And I look forward to your feedback and any questions that you may have at the end. So our digital and inclusion elements are about basically improving our connectivity, internet, as well as really creating a space for digital literacy workshops, as well as education throughout our public housing sites, as well as asset management sites. And so some of those elements are our Digital Ambassadors program, our Career Connect program, our broadband access to all of our sites, our public housing computer labs. We have a total of 11 computer labs at our sites. And so within that, there's different programs that we manage from those computer labs, like our lending library, as well as our different programs that I mentioned. And within that whole umbrella is our career pathways program. Here's a picture of some of our staff. And just a little bit of context, back in 2023, HACLA was awarded 3 grants, which was the ACP grant, which is no longer active, as well as our CASIF grant and our California for All grants with the mayor's office as well, that we run across our public housing sites through the Digital Ambassadors program. So the first cohort for our Digital Ambassadors program, we had an original goal to meet 31 individuals enrolled in this workforce development program, as well as closing the digital divide through having these ambassadors be trained and then deployed to different sites to train the residents on basically basic computer skills and connecting them to the internet. So our original goal was 31 ambassadors, but we reported 54. So we actually onboarded and trained 31 digital ambassadors. However, because we received more funding, because we were meeting our goals from the mayor's office, we were able to enroll 54. And so we surpassed our goal of digital ambassadors for our first cohort, which ended in 2024. As of now, we have entered our second cohort, and we have received a total of 22 slots to 48 slots throughout this year for another group of digital ambassadors. And we also have received great news from the mayor's office with more funding for our third cohort of digital ambassadors. And I'll talk a little bit more about how these programs are making an impact at our labs as well as our public housing sites. And within that umbrella, there's also Angelino Core, which we're a placement site for. So that adds to our 22 ambassadors to a total of 32 digital ambassadors throughout our public housing sites, as well as they are also placed at other community organizations or government agencies through the program. And we have a very exciting program, which is called the Career Connect program. And this is a really special program, and I'll go into the reason why. But if you look to the right, basically, this is what our team, our digital equity and education team looks like. I do oversee all the computer lab interns, as well as all the digital ambassadors, as well as all the Angelino Core and the Career Connect program, as well as anything that has to do with digital equity and inclusion, such as technology distribution, etc. So what are digital ambassadors, right? So digital ambassadors are residents from our public housing communities. They are between the ages of 18 and 30 years old, and they help communities address the digital divide. And how do we do this? Well, we bring them in, we train them on basic computer skills, as well as how to create digital literacy workshops. And then they go out to the community, whether it's at our public housing sites or at a government entity or community-based organization to support communities that are not connected to the internet or that need support connecting to Wi-Fi or that need support learning about digital literacy really, or simple things such as how to log into your bank account, how to log into your doctor's appointment, or how to create an email, for example. And on the left-hand side, you see some of our current digital ambassadors who actually, some of those digital ambassadors have already promoted within the organization, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So as I mentioned, our digital ambassadors are placed at different sites, different community-based organizations, or our public housing computer labs. And I do want to highlight one of our placement sites is the SOLA Foundation. And so this is a state-of-the-art computer lab in South LA. And the way the digital ambassadors are able to support there is by really providing the public that comes in to that lab to support with event workshops, provide any technical support for programs like digital literacy, esports, AI, right? AI is definitely a big deal right now, and we are really having our digital ambassadors learn about AI. The reality is, if we are not learning about AI right now, a lot of our community will stay behind, and we just want to make sure that in our continued effort for education and digital literacy that we emphasize on AI and teaching our communities on how to use it or how to best use it. Other things are they learn about cybersecurity courses, they do hackathons, and then digital badge programs as well. And so in this organization, basically, our digital ambassadors are learning, they are giving back to the community, they are building on their resume, they are empowering South LA residents, but at the same time, they are also getting paid, right? And so the program pays the digital ambassadors $20 an hour. And so this program is working really well at SOLA. And many of our digital ambassadors that are working there, they actually have up to 400 hours of work. And if you see the two individuals in the middle, the young lady on the left with the HACLA t-shirt, she actually has a degree in civil engineering. And so because she entered this space, right, within the digital ambassador program to start working at SOLA, they're already offering her a job once she's done with her internship. And then Eduardo, the one in the middle with the black sweater and black pants, he is a dynamic kid. He is outstanding. And he also has a job secured already at SOLA Foundation. So this is what ends up happening. What we do is we place our digital ambassadors at different organizations, and the organizations hire them within their teams. And so this is happening at the different organizations, but also within our organization, which you will hear about in a little bit. A little bit about our Career Connect program. This is a new program that we just secured through the mayor's office and Comcast as well. And so this is such a different program for us just because we are working with unhoused individuals. And basically, we are working alongside with the mayor's office with the Inside Safe program. And so what is happening is that many of our unhoused individuals are coming off the streets, but being placed in different hotels, motels, different area, different housing structures throughout the city of LA. And while they're there, there's different programs supporting them. There's a lot of support. There's a county, there's a city, There is nonprofit organizations supporting them to ensure that while they're there in temporary housing, they are really expanding on different services that they provide so that they can learn and eventually be self-sufficient in society, right? And so the reason why it's temporary is because eventually they will be trained and they will be supported through mental health as well as job placement, and they, will eventually go on and find more. They will find stable housing and hope that they're able to continue that throughout their life. And so the way we come in, the way the Career Connect program comes in is we basically show up to each site and we do a pop-up lab. And so we take our computers, we take our hotspots, we take our canopies, we take our staff, and basically just lay out all of our computer lab wherever the space is available, because they're hotels and motels, like not always will there be an indoor space. So we're always prepared to just set up and make sure that we have the lab ready to go, whether it's outside in the parking lot with canopies and foldable tables. And so our digital ambassadors, you see Edgar, Edgar and David here. They basically create different workshops and provide digital literacy workshops, as well as tailor each workshop to each individual, or really provide one-on-one assistance to ensure that they're supporting them in getting access to their benefits, applying to jobs. As you know, nowadays, it's very difficult to come across a paper application. For the most part, you have to apply online. So how to navigate those different platforms and how to even create an email and how to even, I think one of the things that we faced, and I'm sure at your housing sites is the same, it's just people just losing their passwords, and how do you recover that and navigating all of that, because those are really important things, especially when you're applying to a job. You're going to be receiving communication via email, so we are there to provide that support. We are there to provide the tech support, the staff, to support them navigate through those processes and ensure that we have the right people also to do this, that have empathy for this type of population. And this is, something that is an expansion of our digital ambassadors program. And so we started with digital ambassadors at our public housing communities, but then our program was so successful that the city wants to continue to invest in these programs. And so now this has been an expansion of the Digital Ambassadors program, not just to our public housing sites, but to the whole LA area. And so we're really excited about that. And so far, this program is doing great things. Our last workshop was last Monday, and our digital ambassadors were out in the Canoga Park area, and they were able to serve up to 20 individuals in one workshop, and the number continues to go up. So as you can see, digital equity and inclusion continues to be a huge part, and there's still a huge gap that we need to fill. And that's why it's so important to continue to advocate for these programs. I think that that we are experiencing that firsthand. And so that's why we continue to do our best to continue to fund these programs and continue to get our efforts out there. Another one of our elements is our broadband access. And so, as you know, we all suffered, and it's still up to this date, suffering the absence of the ACP program. And so, one of the things that we've done to be proactive about those funds that were lost, we have been very proactive with working with one of our partners, one of our ISP providers, Starry, and we've been really active with them, trying to get them out there and promote their services. Their rates are at 15 for HACLA, $15 a month. So, which is, It's not going to be the same as ACP, but at least there is some access to continued being connected to the internet. They start at 15 and go up to 30 or more, depending on what the residents need. But I think that's something that we've been very proactive in getting out to our communities, having different events. We had the Digital Equity and Inclusion um, week where we basically had different events throughout our communities. Starry was there, Verizon, AT&T, all of our partners. Just ensuring that we are promoting those rates because we know that our residents have suffered since the ACP program is no longer active. So as you can see the chart here, one of our biggest communities is Nickerson Gardens. So you see an adoption rate of 75% on there. That's going to be our biggest sites. And then, but we do have the adoption rates here as well. Yes. And so our computer labs, have become a key resource for residents. When coming in to HACLA a year and 9 months ago, these computer labs were very dark spaces where people don't, I didn't even want to go in there sometimes because it was so dark, and like also we didn't have working technology, and our computers would take like 20 minutes to load. And so ever since I came in, again, with our 3 grants that we received through the CASIF infrastructure grant, we were able to remodel 4 of our computer labs, and we're also looking to apply to remodel the rest of our computer labs. But so far, we've been able to stock up our computer labs with brand new desktops, brand new also laptops, hotspots, so that our residents come into these spaces and it actually feels and looks like a lab. In addition to that, we do have administrative interns who oversee the labs and also provide different programming like digital literacy workshops, as well as supporting each individual connecting to the internet. We create safe spaces for our after school programs students. And so these labs are used on a daily basis. We have a lot of traffic, and our interns are really busy. And then I wanted to show you one of our labs here on the left-hand side. This is Imperial Courts Computer Lab, and those are the brand new desktops that we were able to secure through the CASIF grant. And so in addition to that, we have 2 carts there stocked up with hotspots as well as Chromebooks for our residents to use. And then the one on the bottom, that would be Jordan Downs. This is another one of our computer labs that we were able to remodel. And our lending library program. So similar to the LA County Library, we are able to allow residents to borrow a computer, a Chromebook or an HP computer along with the hotspot. They can borrow it for at least a week, and then they bring it back or as much time as they need it. And we're able to provide them with that support as well. If they don't have time to sit at the lab, then they can borrow one of the computers and one of the hotspots. We also make that available for our residents. And actually, this number has changed, but we have been able to deploy through our technology distributions 1,500 computer devices from California State University, Dominguez Hills. And we have been able to do different tech distributions for our seniors, for our digital ambassadors, for our public housing sites, our asset management sites, our BHI scholars, also our RACs, our different programs, or one of our educational partners, Project SOAR. And we've been able to provide those computers to our residents, because California State University, Dominguez Hills, Dr. Rouse was very generous to provide us with those devices to give out to our communities. And then we also worked with the Department of Aging. We distributed 500 iPads to our AM residents. And here you can see some pictures of, people really, really appreciate these distributions. And another thing that we're realizing is that we don't just want to give them the device. So when we give them the device, we also give them a digital literacy training on how to use a computer, how to use a tablet. And then we find that our residents want more, they want to learn more. So right now we are working with another provider to come in and do different digital literacy workshops so that we can fill that gap, because oftentimes, as you know, we don't have enough staff to support all of this, but we make it work. And so we're trying to look for ways to still support our residents in that way when they ask for it. And when I talk about career pathways, I really take pride in saying that all of these programs that I just mentioned, all of our interns that have been through the program, our digital ambassadors who have also been through the program, all of these that you see here, all these pictures of individuals, they have all secured a full-time position at HACLA. You see Abel on the left-hand side. He's a program development coordinator now. He started as an intern. Gelsey is now an admin intern too. We also have on the left-hand side, Alejandro. He actually promoted. He started as a digital ambassador, and now he's an intern too at one of our labs. Christian on the right, he actually secured a job with the San Fernando Boys and Girls Club as a director. He started there as a digital ambassador as well. And then all the ones on the right-hand side in that picture have all been promoted within the organization to full-time jobs at HACLA. And so we're not only closing the digital divide, we're not only supporting our residents, but we're also developing people, developing youth, and creating career pathways for them to grow within our organization, other entities, or anywhere they go once they get their foot in as an intern or as a digital ambassador. Okay. And our 2024-25 goals is continue to, again, expand our digital equity programs, all the programs that I mentioned. Here's our team. We have a really great group of individuals. Most of them will finish their 1,000 hours and move on to HACLA positions or the city or county. And just really excited to present on these programs. As you can see, they're definitely needed. And yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'm open to any questions or any, suggestions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Yes, so folks should feel free to either raise your hand and verbally ask questions or put them in the chat. That was a lot of really great information. I know I was trying to scan the list. If you've just joined us, if you're able to put your organization name next to your Zoom name, that would be great. I was trying to see if anyone from Oklahoma City was on. They also have a lending program. But I see Edith has their hand raised. Edith, do you want to unmute?
Yes, so I had a quick question. Edith, Santa Clara County Housing Authority. I'm curious, the 1,000 hours, is the commitment for like during a year period? Is the commitment like what does that look like?
Yes, so the commitment is through our organization, HACLA, and it is 1,000 hours per fiscal year.
Okay.
So they can do the hours full time and they'll finish in 6 months, right? And or they can choose to do part time and it'll take up to a year.
Okay. And they go through the same hiring process when you bring them in as regular employees, correct?
That is correct. Yes, as administrative interns, uh, with the limitation that it is 1,000 hours. Now, sometimes we'll have an intern who is really amazing And if we want to continue with that intern, they would go over the 1,000 hours, but then the organization would need to start paying into PERS.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Opera, I think you're on mute.
Thanks,
you're
Annalise. I was just saying there's a question in the chat from Seattle Housing Authority. Do you offer incentives for residents to attend the digital literacy classes? If not, how do you engage or market for those learning sessions?
We don't offer incentives. Unfortunately, our grants don't allow us to purchase food or any incentives aside from supportive services for a digital ambassadors program. So the way we engage our residents, we actually we have our interns actively market the community. We have an intern per site, and they create a monthly calendar with different fun workshops that they do throughout the month. And they also create a flyer, just, letting residents know that the lab is open, and create a safe space, create a welcoming space for the residents to come in and drop in. We don't turn anyone away, but I think it's honestly, I will say that it is the relationship that that intern creates with that community. I think that is what is really working, but also the fact that now they have 100% connectivity, and that the devices are working, and that they are learning something that they are not learning at home by themselves. So I think those are some of the concepts that we use to engage our community. And we also work with our RAC. We also work with all the organizations on site to ensure that it's a collaboration of services and not different entities in the community. So we come strong that way, where we're able to collaborate to bring people in and share the spaces.
Great. And I see Edith has their hand raised again, and then we'll go to another question in the chat.
One more question. So this age group that you chose, is that grant-based, the 18 to 30, or is it just something that you all chose?
18 to 30 is grant-based, yes, through our
Okay.
California for All funding.
Okay. And is one of the requirements for these digital ambassadors for them to be residents? I missed that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's catered to our public housing communities.
Okay.
However, they have to be residents, but they can deploy, or they can be placed at different entities within the city of LA. And so they're not restricted to stay working at our public housing sites, which I continue to kind of break that barrier. I want to ensure that our youth are stepping outside of the public housing sites and exploring other options and other career pathways out there through this program.
Okay, great. So there's a question in the chat if there's a possibility that the intern positions could end up being more long-term in the future, since the 1,000-hour cap creates regular turnover.
Yes, but the thing is, I think what we're, going back to what I shared in this picture here. I'm sorry, here. The picture on the right-hand side. So let's say we had 48 digital ambassadors, our first cohort. 50% of those ambassadors will promote to administrative intern 1 or 2 within the organization once they're done with their internship, or they will secure a job wherever they're placed, whether it's SOLA, Boys and Girls Club. We also work with Vermont's Lawson EDC, which is a business organization that provides support to local businesses, where our digital ambassadors go and create digital marketing for them, because we realize that most of our businesses within, like, low-income communities don't know how to use the internet or the Instagram or to promote their services. So they come in and do that. And so they end up securing a job with the business or with the organization. And so all of these, most of our interns, our digital ambassadors are promoting to admin intern 1s or 2s or with other entities, but then also once they go into admin intern 2, they secure a full-time position at HACLA or elsewhere. And so we're realizing, that we're creating those career pathways. And the way I do this is I really take the time to get to know each digital ambassador and have a relationship with them. Because if I don't have a relationship with those kids, then I can't really get them to go to different places. And so I think what's really key for me is while they're in the program, create a space where they can learn about resume building, about how to create their cover letter, interviewing skills. And so it's a practice time. It's a moment where they are being trained to go out to the workforce and really start applying to jobs. And so the moment my admin interns come in to HACLA, right, as HACLA employees, I tell them, keep an eye out because there's always opportunities opening up. And so when I see opportunities for them, I start sending opportunities that they would qualify for. And so I think there's a lot of empowerment in this program, but also making sure that they're fully equipped, not just train on digital literacy, but also ensure that they are preparing themselves to enter the workforce.
Great. And there's another question asking about if you can share a few more examples of some of the successful workshops that have been held.
Yes, I think one of our, I can talk about our Career Connect program. And with that community, with the unhoused community, we're dealing with people that don't know how to write an email, don't even know how to turn on a computer. Um, they don't know how to navigate job platforms, right? Indeed, LinkedIn. So I think one of our really popular workshops with them has been basic computer skills, where you start by turning on the computer, where the different buttons are, and then also how to create an email, and then how to share a document, right? Basic computer skills. And then after that, we go into the Zoom workshops. Those have been really popular because oftentimes now you have to interview online. And so many folks don't know how to do that. And so teaching them how to create a Zoom account, how to create a Teams account, how to create, Outlook or Gmail. And then with that, another one of our very popular ones is how to create a LinkedIn, right? And how to make sure that you create your resume and your cover letter and ensure that is now digital, right? Which would be LinkedIn, and then start looking for jobs within LinkedIn. I could say for that population, those have been some of our popular workshops. I think at our public housing sites, our AI workshops for the kids, that has been a popular one. Also, basic computer skills is always a need. And again, the other workshops more on creating different accounts, LinkedIn accounts, and things like that.
There is another question in the chat about the device giveaway program.
Mhm.
So they wonder that there's probably a limited supply. So how do you decide who gets the device, and how do you ensure that the device really goes to those who need them? And then any other suggestions or lessons learned for other organizations that are looking to do device giveaway programs?
Yes. And so that program just kind of landed into our hands, and it's a lot of work. And I think the key is to work with your teams, right? So for example, we for the grant for the aging program, it's specific to seniors, right? So first we need to identify with asset management to see with their team to see who are the residents that are 60 and above, right? And then we would only give devices to those people who are 60 and above. And it would be first come, first served, right? And so for the most part, when we do have, let's say we have 800 devices and we need to give them out, we would reach out to our teams and see how they would like to distribute them. If we know that it's going to be by looking at the rosters that they provide, how many people they have over 60, if we see that it's more than the devices that we have, then we do a raffle, right? So just to make it fair. And then also they have to take a digital literacy workshop along with us giving them the device. So luckily it's been successful so far by doing that, just getting a roster of the people who need it. And then obviously if it's more, then we do a raffle, right? For our digital ambassadors, it's very targeted because we know that all the digital ambassadors need a device. So we put aside those devices for them, for the kids in our programs. Obviously, they're all from our public housing sites, so that they're all in need of devices. For right now, we have two distributions coming up, one at Pueblo del Sol, another one at Rose Hills. They're asset management sites, redevelopment. And we already did two distributions there. We did one at each site, but then we realized that the folks, not all of them could make it. So we did another round. So I think that's how we kind of make it equitable. Like if you don't get a device today, we'll come back. If the second time you don't get one, then you've had a chance. We've given an opportunity to give you those devices. And so yeah, that's basically how we make it work.
Great. Edith?
So how does the training happen for the digital ambassadors? Like, is there a minimum amount of hours and who does the teaching?
Great question. We partner with Everyone On, and they provide our digital literacy training to our digital ambassadors. It's a total of 10 hours. So prior to them going out to the sites, they get trained 10 hours, which is, basically 1 or 2 weeks of digital literacy training. And then they go out to the communities and do the training that they've been provided. But I will say that these kids are way more advanced now. So luckily they're using the training, but a lot of the information they are, just looking up on YouTube, or like, they're taking different courses or so yeah. So but we do partner with Everyone On for our training.
And Eric from Durham Housing Authority writes that they have a community partner that provides computers to seniors who complete 2 classes of 4 hours. And they have 15 seniors in class right now. Eric, did you want to say more about that?
About I'm sorry, is the
Oh,
question?
I was inviting Eric,
Got it. Okay.
if he wanted to say more.
No, the only thing that I would add is that we found that it has been very engaging and beneficial for our senior community is as you think about social isolation and ways to continue to age in place. So that's been something very beneficial for us. I'm walking away from this conversation now saying, okay, how do we get our youth involved to close the loop? And so I've been very excited about what I've heard so far. Pretty exciting because we could definitely leverage them in that space, and then also create a pipeline for job openings here at the authority.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I want to add during this program came out of the pandemic because we realized that we had to use computers and we had to use the internet and there was no choice. And so I think what we realize is that our youth are the ones that hold this knowledge, right? They're always on TikTok, they're always on Instagram, they're always on their computer. So they were the ones who kind of started like supporting the residents because there was no other choice. And so that's how the Digital Ambassadors Program came from, because we realized that there was a need, but then we realized that, we had the proper team there and it was just a matter of, really creating this program.
Great. Well, I had also put in the chat, I know a number of you who have joined us today are digital ambassadors at your own agencies, or
Nice.
you've done different device giveaway programs or hotspot or device lending. So it was great to hear about what's happening in Durham. Would invite other folks to share about what you currently have going on in this space or challenges you might be experiencing around digital connection. And the other thing I'll just add, and this was also very much, I think, kind of COVID gave a push about, is really increasing opportunities for residents to do telehealth. So that's another thing that I know a couple of you on here have focused on as well. Yeah, Michael.
And I may have missed it. I'm Michael Anderson. I'm at the Chicago Housing Authority. You mentioned in the presentation about doing like pop-up events outside with the tents and things like that. We're looking to do something similar here, and I'm just kind of developing like a list of equipment and supplies. Is there anything that you have discovered that you think is really helpful to have out in the field that, that you didn't realize you might needed when you first were planning the program?
Yes, I think the first thing, your core equipment is going, and I can definitely share the list with you. We can share our inventory list. So just send me an email. I have my information posted on the screen. But I think your base is going to be folding tables, canopies, and also chairs. Don't forget about the chairs. And then in addition to that, you're going to need long extension cords, different power surge outlets. You're going to need, of course, your devices, and then all the connections to that, your hotspots. But I think one of the really cool things that we realized through this grant, even though we have all the technology and everything that we need, we didn't have anything to carry the computers in. So we got very innovative and we went to Home Depot and bought those like rolling tool carts. And so they're really secure. You just like pop them and like put the computers in there, and they fit really nicely. And so they have, little wheels that you can kind of pull the cart with, so that at the same time your devices are safe. But if it rains like today, we're actually at one of the sites. Our two digital ambassadors are at one of the sites, but it's raining. So we want to make sure also that our equipment is protected. So if we're not using the devices, they're pretty safe in those boxes. So think about those things, like how do you carry them? How do you, take them out of the car? And like, but you'll see that when I send you the inventory list, there's things on there that we, Lysol wipes, right? You got to wipe down the computers. Little things like, like hand sanitizer, that you don't think about those things, but so many people using the computers, you want to ensure that there's also like, we're very careful about just any disease that's out there. So yeah, happy to send you the inventory list.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Other questions or thoughts to share? Yeah, Edith.
Last one.
No, I'm
I
glad
think,
it's helpful.
yeah, it's just, I'm really, really impressed. And like someone else
Thank
mentioned,
you.
I'm really excited. Like, this is like we've done a similar model, but where we use, residents, but more on the mobility side. And it had never occurred to me, like, oh my gosh, we could do this with digital literacy as well. Like, what
Yeah.
would you say that, I mean, I can think of a few, but what are like some of the hurdles with using like residents, like that you've noticed on your end, or like maybe challenges that, you wouldn't anticipate having, but you did? um, just something to have in mind as, we try to explore this idea, this process.
I will be honest, I think with the digital ambassadors program, It's been because most of them are between 18 and 23. It's been uh, hiring residents has been a challenge in the sense that these kids are not getting the resources that other people outside of public housing are getting. They don't have the same education level. They don't, they're usually involved in, gang activity. They've never had a job before, and they don't know what getting to work on time is or calling in sick. They don't know that they need to call when you're. So I think a lot of that has been the challenge. But at the same time, I think it's our responsibility as, their leaders to really teach them those things, right? And that is the whole point of this program, to ensure that they're prepared for the workforce. And this is the time when we let them know, like, you know what, this is not going to fly out there. When you go and get a real job, like it's not gonna work. And so I think that has been the challenge, just realizing, me coming from the education sector and coming from a very academia background, realizing that there's so much need to coach and to mentor and to sit down and take the time to sometimes be on the phone with these kids for about an hour, just explaining how their behavior was not okay. And so I think that initially is a challenge, but once you get them to where you want to get them, and they want it, they want to learn. No one has, sometimes they don't have people telling them these things, like, and they'll tell me, Miss, like, I never had a job where I had to sit down at a computer lab. Like, usually I just sign up for these, like, you know, these programs where I have to do construction. And so they're like, this is the first program that has allowed me to like work with different people outside the community. And um, so I think that is what in itself a challenge, but at the same time rewarding in the end of the program, because they'll come back and say how, this program has impacted their life and how grateful they are. So I would say that's a challenge, just teaching them all those like essential and basic skills that they need to succeed in life, right? And so I think that's what makes this program really special.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions. Thank
No
you.
problem. Yeah, and I'm happy to set up a different call as well, Edith, if you
Okay,
need more information or if you want me to share some of our best practices and systems.
thank you.
Great. Shayla, do you want to unmute or do you want me to?
Thank you. So, you mentioned that part of the services that you offer for adults is mental health. Can you speak a little bit about that? Like, do you use grant money or do you partner with local health commissions, or how is it that you provide those?
Yes, I believe when I was speaking on that, I was referring to our Career Connect program, where we have DPSS, our county mental health, as well as city providing mental health support while the unhoused folks are in temporary housing. And but we come in and we actually provide only the digital equity portion of it. So yeah, so different services that come into the Career Connect program. We also partner with, it's the Job Connectors program, and they provide case management, and that is through one of our community-based organizations, work source centers throughout the city, and they are the ones who provide that case management, and then the county and the city provides that mental health aspect.
Thank you.
No problem.
And then another question from someone else at Boston Housing Authority. Can you say a little bit more about the protocols in place for device lending?
Yes, so these are obviously, so I think for California State University Dominguez, it's a grant that they have to adhere to. So one of the requirements is that we have to provide a digital literacy workshop when giving out the device. And then we also inventory our supplies as we get them. We make sure that we tagged all of our devices and that we provide that to our partner, the university. And then we also have different forms that they need to fill out through the university, where we, state the number of the device and how they're going to use it. And we also survey them on what type of workshops do they need coming up after we give them the device. And that goes back to the university. We keep a file of all of that on our end too, to ensure if we ever get audited, then we can always go back and pull our inventory sheets and ensure that to let the auditors know who the device went to what individual.
Yes, Han?
Hi, and thank you for the information. I'm very excited. I just have a clarification question. So your ambassadors, do they support with I guess fixing hardware for people like when they got the community? If people bring their devices, do they support with those, or does anyone run programs with those? And then for the device that you give out, I imagine there at certain time there has to be some maintenance and stuff like that. To the seniors, do they support with those as well?
So, for example, it depends on who gives us the devices. Usually for the university, for example, they have their own plan. I think it's a 2-year plan where they can call a number and get that IT support. For our devices at the site, most of our interns do have a background in some type of, tech work, or again, like I will tell you this again, these kids, the youth nowadays, they are very tech savvy, and so you'd be impressed on how much they can do with these devices. So for our interns at our sites, yes, if someone has an issue with the computer, they will usually bring it, and they will support with, fixing the hardware or whatever the issue is. And for our digital ambassadors program, well, they support as much as they can, but we also work with very closely with, because we are digital equity and inclusion, we work very closely with our IT department, and we have a really great relationship with them, so that we know that we're able to come to them if we need support with something we can't fix, and they're happy to help.
Thank you.
We have just a couple minutes left, so we could probably do maybe one more question if someone has one. And then if not, I know Licia was great to put her contact information. If you all have any follow-up questions or thoughts and ideas that come to you later.
I do see Lena's question here. Hi, Lena. It's great to see you here. So for the HACLA position for the 1,000-hour cap, I'm not sure if you're aware, but another thing that's coming up at HACLA is we just opened up our Build Hope Inc. Foundation, and it's basically our affiliate nonprofit. And so because, as you know, digital equity and inclusion, the funding is not as there as much as it was before. We have worked on transitioning all of our digital equity and inclusion efforts to BHI, which is our nonprofit, and they will continue all these programs that I just mentioned. They will continue the efforts on that. But the great news about that is that, yes, the the HACLA position for the intern will be longer. It will be an actual computer lab coordinator through our nonprofit, because they're able to fundraise more to different entities as opposed to a government agency. There's a lot of restrictions for funding. So one of the great news, Lena, is that yes, those positions are going to go to BHI, and there will be more stability in terms of the intern at the labs. They'll be able to just have like a regular job, and they can stay through 3 years, 4 years, as much as they want.
Great. Well, thank you so, so much. I know everyone joins me in thanking our speaker for your time, for your expertise. This is a really wonderful discussion. I'm glad that we were able to do this today, and that all of you were able to join us. Again, we have a meeting next month in April just for CLAFA members. So sorry to our partners who joined us today who are not member PHAs, but that's an update session. And then we really do hope to see all of you May 1st and 2nd in DC for the Housing Is Summit. Until then, if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email, reach out. You can reach us at housingis@clafa.org.
Thank you so much, Abra, and I'll see you at Housing Is.
Great. Thank you.